S.S.C. Board Maharashtra State Subject Higher English Lesson number 1.3 On Wings of Courage. On Wings of Courage is a brief biography of Air Force Marshal Arjun Singh, an icon of India's military history and a war hero. Air Force Marshal Arjun Singh, an icon of India's military history, will always be remembered as a war hero who had successfully led a young IAF during the 1965 Indo-Pak War. The only officer to attain the highest post of Marshal, the Air Force equivalent to the Army's 5-star Field Marshal, Singh was a fearless and exceptional pilot who had flown more than 60 different types of aircraft. And now the meanings. Icon means a representation or chinna. IAF means Indian Air Force. He played a major role in transforming the IAF into one of the most potent air forces globally and the fourth biggest in the world. His contribution to the Indian Air Force is monumental to the least. The IAF grew with him. He was the epitome of military leadership in classical sense, and it is therefore not surprising that he was honored with the rank of Air Force Marshal. Former Vice Chief of IAF, Kapil Kak said. Singh was honored with the rank of Marshal on the Republic Day in 2002. Sam Hormuzji Friendji Jamshedji Manekshaw and K.M. Kariappa were the only two army generals honored with the rank of Field Marshal. And now the meanings. Potent means powerful and effective. Monumental means of great importance. Epitome means a perfect example. Known as a man of few words, Singh was not only a fearless pilot but also had profound knowledge about air power and applied it in a wide spectrum of areas. Singh had assiduously led the IAF during the 1965 war and denied success to Pakistani Air Force, though it was better equipped with American support. His most outstanding contribution was during that war, said Kak. And now the meanings. Profound means great or intense. Assiduously means working hard and showing careful attention to details. Denied means saying no to something. Commending his role in the war, Y.B. Chauhan, the then Defense Minister, had written, Air Marshal Arjun Singh is a jewel of a person, quite efficient and firm, unexcitable but a very able leader. In 1944, the Marshal had led a squadron against the Japanese during the Arakan campaign, flying close air support missions during the crucial Imphal campaign, and later assisted the advance of the Allied forces to Yangon, formerly Rangoon. And now the meanings. Commending means officially praising. Squadron means a group of military aircrafts. Allied means countries having an agreement to work together and support each other. In recognition of his feat, he was awarded the Distinguished Flying Cross DFC on the spot by the Supreme Allied Commander of Southeast Asia, the first Indian pilot to have received it. Singh was selected for the Empire Pilot Training Course at Royal Air Force RAF Cranwell in 1938 when he was 19 years old. He retired from service in 1969. And now the meanings. Feat means an achievement that requires great courage. Singh was born on April 15, 1919 in Lalpur, now Faisalabad, Pakistan, and completed his education at Montgomery, now Sahiwal, Pakistan. His first assignment on being commissioned was to fly Westland Wapiti biplanes in the northwestern frontier province as a member of the number 1 RIAF squadron. And now the meanings. Biplane means old type of aircraft having two pairs of wings, one above the other. After a brief stint with the newly formed number 2 RIAF squadron, where the marshal flew against the tribal forces, he later moved back to number 1 squadron as a flying officer to fly the Hawker Hurricane. He was promoted to the rank of squadron leader in 1944. For his role in successfully leading the squadron in combat, he was awarded the Distinguished Flying Cross DFC in 1944. On August 15, 1947, he achieved the unique honor of leading a flypast of over 100 IAF aircraft over the Red Fort in Delhi. And now the meanings. Combat means a fight. Fly past means a ceremonial flight of an aircraft passing over a place. After his promotion to the rank of Wing Commander, he attended the Royal Staff College at the UK. Immediately after Indian independence, he commanded Ambala in the rank of Group Captain. In 1949, he was promoted to the rank of Air Commodore and took over as Air Officer Commanding AOC of an operational command, which later came to be known as Western Air Command. And now the meanings. Commodore means an officer at high level. Singh had the distinction of having the longest tenure as AOC of an operational base, initially from 1949 to 1952 and then again from 1957 to 1961. After his promotion to the rank of Air Vice Marshal, he was appointed as the AOC in C of an operational command. Towards the end of the 1962 war, he was appointed as the Deputy Chief of the Air Staff and he became the Vice Chief of the Air Staff in 1963. He was the overall commander of the Joint Air Training Exercise Shiksha held between IAF, RAF, that is Royal Air Force, and RAAF, means Royal Australian Air Force. And now the meanings. Tenure means working period. AOC means Air Officer Commanding. AOC in C means Air Officer Commanding in Chief. On August 1, 1964, in the rank of Air Marshal, the Marshal of the Air Force Arjan Singh took over reins of IAF at a time when it was still rebuilding itself and was gearing up to meet new challenges. Singh was the first Air Chief to keep his flying currency till his CAS rank. having flown over 60 different types of aircraft from pre-World War II era biplanes to the more contemporary gnats and vampires. He has also flown in transport aircraft like the Super Constellation. And now the meanings. Took over reins means took over control. Gearing up means getting ready. Flying currency means up-to-date skills and experience of flying aircraft. Contemporary means of present times. Gnats, vampires and super constellations are the names of different types of aircrafts. In 1965, when Pakistan launched its Operation Grand Slam with an armoured thrust targeted at the vital town of Akhnur, Singh led IAF through the war with courage, determination and professional skill. He inspired IAF to victory despite the constraints imposed on the full-scale use of Air Force combat power. Singh was awarded Padma Vibhushan for his astute leadership of the Air Force during the war. Subsequently, in recognition of the Air Force's contribution during the war, the rank of the CAS was upgraded and Arjun Singh became the first Air Chief Marshal of the Indian Air Force. And now the meanings. Armored means special metal clothing worn by soldiers for safety. Thrust means to push suddenly or violently. Constraints means restrictions. Astute means sharp and intelligent. CAS means Chief of the Air Staff. He remained a flyer to the end of his tenure in IAF, visiting forward bases and units and flying with the squadrons. He retired in August 1969, thereupon accepting ambassadorship to Switzerland. He was Lieutenant Governor of Delhi from December 1989 to December 1990. Having been a source of inspiration to all the personnel of armed forces through the years, the government conferred the rank of the Marshal of the Air Force upon Arjun Singh in January 2002, making him the first and the only 5-star rank officer with Indian Air Force. And now the meanings. Forward bases means a secured forward operating military position. Personnel means people working for armed forces or large organization.